evening, everyone, and welcome to Alliance on the Move. And this is our weekly program we bring to you every single Saturday at 8 p.m. We always encourage you to share our stream when we come on so that more persons will be able to benefit from the discussion. Tonight, I am most privileged to be joined by my colleagues. I can start off by with Mrs. Juice and Mr. Sharon Duncan here with us this evening. We have Mr. Ricky Ramsrud, both members of Parliament, and then we have the distinguished honor of having with us Dr. Shamir Ali. And I want to tell you who Dr. Shamir Ali is. Let me tell you, Dr. Shamir is one of the most competent of competent persons you're ever going to have the opportunity to interact with and have the benefit of the conversation. I know past ambassador, professor, philanthropist, business executive, and servant leader, Dr. Shamir holds a PhD in management, a BBA in accounting, and an MBA in accounting and management, and is a fellow FAIA of
He's a
UK's
boss.
Association of International Accountants. So when Dr. Shamir speaks, he knows what he is speaking about, and it's always a distinct honor to have him with us to add to this discussion. Dr. Shamir, your work that you have done as an ambassador, we are still reaping the benefit today. So we thank you so much for all of that. But guys, as we open up, I would just like to give you an opportunity to just have your opening statements. So I'll start off with MP Ricky Ramsru.
Thank you, Jorita, and good evening to all our viewers in Barbados and across Guyana and in our diaspora. It's a pleasure to be with Sharad, yourself, and Professor Shamir Ali. It's an honor to be with you, and I think it's our first program together. And I wanted to, for us to have a frank discussion to what we are going to be discussing in tonight's program.
Yes. And MP Duncan.
I am just happy to be here. I'm just happy to be here, to share the forum with Dr. Shamir Ali and, MP Ricky. MP was in Berbice recently. We were in Linden. Just happy to be in the same space. And even though I'm not where Dr. Shamir is, especially, I wish I were there just for a change of scenery. So I'm imagining that I'm there. And just happy to be sharing, this forum with our brothers and with you, our host, Judah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Duncan. Every time I'm doing the Alliance of the Move program, I don't understand my neighbor's dog. So if you hear him barking,
And
it's
I'm
not
certain they're quiet every other night except
every other night. Dr. Ali, could I have some opening remarks from you, sir?
MP Jaretta, thank you for that warm introduction. MP Sherrod, MP, the one and only, busy as a bee.
yeah.
Everybody knows him, so no name is needed. It's my delight, joy, and honor to be here the second time. And everything we all do is in service of Almighty. We are only agents of Him. Whatever belief is, remember, it is ours. We are allowed to do it. So all praise are always to the great Almighty. He is the one who gives, and we serve in His honor, irrespective of whatever position we hold. Even if I'm going to be cleaning the street this afternoon, it's with His honor. That's my task to do. So it's an honor to be here and a delight. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ali. And I just want to start off by saying today was not so much of a pleasant day for us. I know a lot of persons. Ricky was on the ground, myself, and Mr. Duncan. We were on the ground alongside some other members of Parliament and regional councillors in Linden, and just to see the devastation that has played out in those areas. I'm not sure if I'm having MP Ramsrup here on right now, because I know MP Ramsrup was there in Berbice and he has been doing quite a lot there. But Sharon, I want us to start off when Mr. Ramsrup is back on. We will just get into the discussion on Berbice, but I want us to just give persons an overview of what's transpired in Linden and what we experienced firsthand on the ground there today. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
if you can
Jurita,
just start
Doctor,
that discussion off a little bit.
Jurita, Dr. Shamir, and our viewers, the area I think is called specifically Phase 2 in Amelia's Ward, Linden Region 10. And those plots of land that were bulldozed were actually sold to some folks. In
Yep.
some instances, in some other instances, people went and squat on those lands, but they had legitimate expectations that those lands would have been there because that is they've begun the process of regularization, and then only to be told that to facilitate some road that is going to be in that direction there in Phase 2, Amelia's Ward, those houses had to move.
Hmm.
Was very, very heartbreaking, Dr. Shamir and Ricky, to those persons. But even worse than that is that on the fifth day, arrival day, Indian arrival day, albeit they were told that they were going to be summoned to a meeting on the 12th, but they were served notice on the 5th of the meeting for the 12th to discuss, what's going to happen as they move forward. And only on the 6th, for those bulldozers to go there and, to just clear a path for this road, just like that. And some people could have been seriously, seriously injured yesterday. Seriously injured, could have been seriously injured. One woman they say was, on the second floor of one of those structures, and they didn't care. They seemed to have just plowed through the area, and she could have been seriously hurt. I mean, they are very traumatized by what has taken place there, and the residents are asking for justice. That's what's
Yep.
happening.
Well, to add to that, one of the things I want to say is that for that particular resident that was in the house, I think that at one point in time, individuals that went there to break down the home of that woman, physically dragged her out and then
Yeah,
proceeded to break that
yeah,
down. I
yeah,
know at some point in time we have to question ourselves and our purpose in life altogether because those machines don't operate themselves, and it takes a person with a particular mentality and a mindset to actually go out there and carry out that
yeah,
act. And I want to add at this point in time that we learned when we were on the ground that there was one of the operators that were sent there. When the guy got there, he basically said, I can't do this. One of them said, I can't do this. And he just sat and he parked and he said, if he's going to get fired, then so be it, but he can't do this. But then there was another one that he was most determined to carry out with that mandate. And I want to just mention one other thing is that one of the individuals that were there, and a lot of times persons are in these areas, these situations, not because they want to, but because they are forced for some reason and under certain circumstances to be there. And one of the women that were there, that her home was bulldozed to the ground. That woman was basically on her own, they're seeking refuge, running from an abusive relationship. She has been in a completely abusive relationship, and she left and to basically protect her own self and her life and well-being altogether. And instead of the state, the government actually providing a refuge for her and supporting her, this is what she is suffering further under the administration. It is the most heart rendering thing you can ever witness.
right, right.
And I dare say that we spent a lot of time walking through the area to see where how many persons were affected, and I found it bizarre, strange, and ridiculous that it would appear that persons were pointed out that, oh, we're going to bulldoze this one and that one, because at one point in time foundations were ripped out of the ground for someone, and the foundation next to that person was left in check, intact.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
a lot has to be done. That was just a surface visit, but a lot more work to be done to deal with that. I know that work has already begun when it comes to providing shelter for two of those families immediately, because they have nowhere else to go. Like one woman, she was literally just sitting in the rain. She has nowhere else to go.
Oh, very sad.
Jurita,
Yeah.
if I may add a little bit to you guys, what's happening there. I mean, it's a sad situation.
Yep.
I want to say this because so my friends and Barbies can understand that what's happening in the other region, that these people are really triggering something to happen in Linden.
Yeah.
They started
Yeah.
from the hospital
Yep.
that fiasco that CEO he would never done. You understand me? And they are getting things very lightly. Then now you're gonna look. There's so many lands. If you go on ahead, Linden Ridge and Tender, there's so many lands that's are in abundance. Are you gonna break somebody home because of what? Are you gonna say they're squatting illegally? The people in Barbados when we went there, Sharad and Jurita and Prof, when we went there, the people have said that they were told when they were in opposition, when the people were in opposition, that it's legal to squat. And I know it's one in the video somewhere. You gotta pick it up. You
Mm.
understand me? It's one in the video, and if this self say that now they are coming and bring people home, try not to regularize them and so on. The same thing with success earlier when they took government. Sure, you can recall when you and I went to success and they were
Yeah.
following the
Yeah.
people out to
Yeah.
squat.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a thing trending with them. So, but these people are creating a situation where they're trying to erupt Linden.
Ricky, and 1 year later, that success problem is not solved. And believe it or not,
Mhm.
there are folks in Linden who have paid monies for land, and still they don't have, any title, they don't have any transport, they don't have a physical land to look at, but they've paid their monies already. So a lot of stuff happening there, MP.
Mhm.
Yep, but and another situation, because sometimes you have to tell people need to understand that the lives of persons that actually that are being affected right now. And I want to just highlight another situation. A young man is there. He's not begging. He's working hard. He built a wonderful home, and he's planning on getting married. Him and his fiance working hard to get things done. He went home yesterday to meet the house bulldozed to the ground. And I want to say that, there were elder persons in the community that said that, like, wept bitterly,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
last night, because this is somebody, what is the message that's going out to young people right now in this country. But I dare say that Lindenor should not be taking this lightly at all. And I don't know what messaging was being sent there by the administration, but Lindeners need to send back a message to say that this is not acceptable, and we will
Right.
not just sit back and watch as you come through and rip through the lives of persons. Because and I have to say this at this point in time, very recently we saw the administration going in Region 3, where squatters were there and regularizing that area, and actually
Mhm.
providing electricity and water in that area. So it sends a very clear message, and the messaging is something that we do not stand for. We speak about equity and equality,
One
access.
one Guyana.
Exactly. And you can't just talk about this concept of oneness when this is what is being practiced on the ground in real life and real terms. I know, Ricky, I know you were in Berbice, and I want you to tell us a little bit of what is going on out there.
All right, so we were called by the residents in Anchorville, Port Morant.
Mm.
We went on Thursday. I think that was the Indian arrival day, and it was kind of shocking to see the condition that the people are living under. The area have a tendency of being to be flood, um, and all because of one person. Um, Apparently, he got transport, and it's a drainage system that has a reserve. For some reason, he got a transport for that area. But on the transport has a clause that clearly states that he has to maintain the drainage. That is the how we get the transport is another issue. Because person were surprised because people living there for like 70 and 80 years, and the drainage system used to be functioning right there. But when we went there, the fence even took out the guy even occupied the reserve in front of him, which is a dam the street used to walk on the right side. So like all around him, he occupied the reserve and create catastrophe for the people living at the back.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the people now they were very upset. Um, the NDC went and dig another drain, which cannot. I think it has like a 4-inch pipe to drain the entire community. Was impossible. They even break out the lady bridge there. And then the thing is this, I think if you can recall, there was a story where There was a snake in a little girl bed or somewhere right in the same region. It's not far from right there. It's right behind the guy who's blocking the drain. That happened because the water have a tendency of not going out as quick as it can. And to today, this morning, we received video again, given the rainfall and flood. I can't believe that that would happen. These people are celebrating Indian Arrival Day in Barbados. They went there to Palmyra, where we have that thing set up, and you got people are living in flood water. You tell me that for over 50 plus years of independence or arrival here, you're living in those
Yeah.
conditions. You got to Houston, Texas, there, neglecting your own people to go and do what? To sell Guyana? Is that to be desperate? You understand me? There are ways, and Professor can tell you, there are ways that you can do diplomacy and business with people. You don't have to beg people to do business in our country, and you people suffering here. We got enough money. We
Yes.
got enough money here. Our oil value doubled,
Yes.
almost tripled. And I want my Barbitian to understand and listen to this, what I'm saying. Our money, we have enough money, can do this. You are not, you do not deserve to live in those conditions.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
a seat with the people in Anchorville. And you know what? We can come to the sugar Dorita, but I just wanted to highlight this issue. But please bring that up when we come in, because I will continue on that part. The Not only the Anchorville, I got a call this morning from somebody in Behang of Wim. Behang of Wim, I think is the village where Moses Nagamuti is. Somebody back there. Flood again. So the people are calling, and you know the people said, look, I will vote for them. I will vote for them. You understand me? But the stupidness got to stop. I've been stupid. And this is clearly coming from, if you listen to the videos, and we did have many videos we kind of live, so you can hear exactly what the people were saying. And they're very upset. They're very upset. The street, I don't know, the street is strictly mud. And you know what is shameful? Is that the founder member of the PPP, Dr. Cherry Jagan, came from the same area, right behind. The people take us and show us where he came from, where he grew up, where he from. And it's shame, the whole street is sheer mud. Sheer mud,
I
you
But you
know.
just
know,
looked at the forecast. The next 11 days, rain, rain, rain.
Yep.
But what is I just want to weigh in here when it comes to the rain and the flooding and the forecast altogether, and say that I find it ridiculous that persons who profess to be the experts in climate change always have to be on their back foot when it comes to dealing with these basic aspects of climate change. These are things that we expect as a country. We know that we have the May, June rains and all of these things. Persons that profess to be the experts in these areas need not come and say that they don't have a proper plan for persons to be properly prepared to deal with this at the local government level,
yeah,
and so the
yeah,
residents won't be affected
yeah.
as much.
And that's what I was thinking as MP Ricky was talking, uh, Doc. That these May June rains don't sneak up on us. We know they're
Exactly.
coming, right? We know they're coming, and so why aren't we more prepared? We now have more money, more finances, more funding at our disposal than any other government in the history of this country. But it seems that we're no better off. We are no better off, and that's very, very startling. And I think what is even more not disconcerting, but the people are speaking up. People don't want to hear foolishness; they want action, right? They don't just want platitudes. We're working for you, but we have to see. People have to feel and see government working for them. It must be meaningful, right? And what we saw with Ricky and the others there, and what they were showing us with the flooding and so on in Anchorville and those other areas, Alness and so on, is that you don't seem to have a government that is prepared, to bring redress, though, to some of the issues the citizens are facing, and that is very, very telling. That's very telling.
It's certainly very telling, and I keep making the point that we need to understand that we have a system in Guyana especially when it comes to classism, and understand the divide between the classes, and the fact that when it comes to persons that are in the lower class and bracket of our society. There's no separation when it comes to race. When you are in that particular class, all of the persons have overlapping issues and they're suffering just the same, because there's an upper class within the country that are just scooping up every bit of the resources that should be equally distributed throughout the country, and that is not happening. So we have this big disparity between the rich and the poor, and that gap just continues to widen with every policy and every action of the current administration, instead of lessening and making and providing more opportunities for persons to raise their basic standard of living. But we're
Yeah.
not seeing
Yeah.
those things. So everyone that is within that lower class level within our country, that has to rely on government's aid and assistance to deal with these basic things, they have been left out in the cold, left out for the wolves, however you want to say it, because the administration don't seem to care much to provide in any safety net so that they are protected and they are afforded at least an equal opportunity to do better and live better as citizens of this country.
And
But
this is Dr. Chetty Jagan's party. It's sad, sad,
yes.
sad, sad.
But I believe at this point in time, I believe that the current top brass of the PPP administration doesn't care much to even hear about the legacy of or preserve it of that of Chetty Jagan, because I think this is something that they want to push to the back as much as possible, because Chetty Jagan was more concerned with the poorer class of
Yeah, the people,
society,
people.
and the PvP has evolved today into being a group of persons that are only concerned with the wealthy in society, and basically who can fill their pockets at a faster rate, and who can give a higher kickback, and so on and so forth. And that's just the fact on the ground. And if anyone have evidence otherwise, I'll welcome that evidence to prove me wrong. But as all indications that we have within the society right now says that they are no longer concerned about with the ideologies and the principles of the late Chetty Jagan, and they are more so concerned with entrenched capitalism at its most brutal format at the top level of the
Yeah.
administration right now.
Yep. Yep.
So, but a whole lot to do, and one of those things I want to say at this point in time, we want to speak heavily on a matter this evening. One of those things to that we have to work on in order to, when it comes to equal access, equity, equality, and all of those things, is education, and we need to make sure that as Guyanese we are afforded that basic right as entrenched in our constitution, especially when it comes to the right for free education, nursery to university. And I know Dr. Shamir Ali, Professor Shamir
It's
Ali,
voting.
is, is the expert, so to speak, on this matter. And Mr. Dr. Ali, guys, he is, as I say, he's the expert on so many matters, and I'm always honored to be in conversation and to actually listen to what he has to say. So, Dr. Ali, I'll invite you at this point in time to share your views on this aspect of free education in Guyana.
Thank you, MP Jaretta, MP Sherrod, MP Ricky, especially to my dear brothers and sisters in Berbice and brothers and sisters all Guyana. The Constitution says free education up to the university level. The PPPC manifesto promised free education. Here's a song said, Que sera, sera. When? 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 Honorable, we must learn from the past so we can do better now in the future. Dr. Chetty Jagan, dream was for education with the starting of the University of Guyana.
Yep. Yep.
His Excellency Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham believed in education. The coalition government did what they can, what was doable with all
Yep.
the other constraints. We now have $700 million US and growing. It is doable. It's the will of the government that is needed. Some projects, with all due respect, can be held back. Barbicians, all Guyanese, you need to speak up. Speak up or forever hold your peace. Don't be afraid. You have the vote. That is worth much. Say your piece. Talk to the ministers. Let them know how you feel. Do not be yes, yes, yes. Tell them recommend three famous words that I use myself. With all due respect. You pay them the respect of the office, but you must express your opinion. There's no society in this world, even the so-called socialists or communists or capitalists, people say their piece. Education is a human right. It's no if, or
Correct.
buff. In 2022 budget, Honorable Minister of Finance announced 3.5 billion to run the campuses and course offerings, 1.3 billion to cover 4,500 scholarships. My circle from UG says $10 million can do it. It's a drop in the bucket. His
Yeah.
exact
Yeah.
words. Can't call his name, but I do have circles globally and at UG. There's a Shamir Ali reading corner up in the library there. So that same circle said Guyana $7 billion will
Wow.
do everything. Now, what are we waiting for? The figures I'm getting are from the records. It's not being manufactured because they want to make profit look good or whatever I want. My source didn't even ask what I wanted for because
Yeah.
they trust me. I walk with my feet and not my mouth. So they gave me within 24 hours. I had one question answer one time, 24 hours, and I was asked a second question, and I got it back fast enough. Now, there are enough best, now that we're rich and everybody's looking at Guyana, we have the chance, ladies and gentlemen, to use best practices around the world. Their street smart to me is worth more than all the book smarts. And you don't have to have all university degrees to be smart. Look, watch, and observe. One of the greatest top two power the world says is America and China. Some say China and America. It's one and two. How
Yeah.
did China become that powerful? They had a vision, they had a team, and they sent their Chinese students in all the universities all over America, 10,000 plus, and in Europe. They all went back with the skills and they helped transform China in economic miracle. Other countries have done that. So it is doable. What did Singapore do? We hear about Singapore. Singapore says they education was going to link their workforce and the economic policies. Their higher education system with a strong focus on STEM, technology, and science. English was to communicate with its investors and seek market, and above all, a labor force with relevant industrial skills. And they were rich, poorer than Guyana in 1966. And this is coming from the Prime Minister, those words, Lee Kuan Yew's son, the younger son from Singapore. We hear about all those countries. Dubai is the same thing. We hear about Dubai, it's education and technology. Qatar, education and technology. Saudi Arabia, you can go on and on. It is the whole world. It's education. I am one of those who believe that education is a key to success. And if a nation or an individual don't have it, we lose that social protection. Education is very pivotal. So a society without education is a society with knowledge. Without knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
no independence. You can say what you want. If we don't have an educated society, you will run the country as you like, but not for a long time. Bucket will go at the well. One day, the bottom will drop. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not telling you anything new. I'm giving you some figures and
That's it.
empirical evidence from other countries. You know it can be done, but I only hope that the leaders have the willpower. I see the letters in the writing is the will. We're not short of money now. We have it. But instead of all the projects, feed, clothe, and house the people first. I don't understand it. It's a human being. I do not know how we can have all the prayer chant, all the prayer read, all the prayer clothes, and treat our human beings in our own country. I spoke to my daughter for 1 hour today, and she gave me a lecture on the leadership in Guyana and how the poor is suffering. I hear that this morning from Dubai and Qatar. They ask me, Guyana has so much money. Why are people having floods in this day and age? And
Mm.
you have the Dutch who are helping you. What is happening? I says, our leadership is not, and parliamentary democracy, change a government, one not following the other, in my humble opinion, is one of the reasons for Guyana being where Guyana is and Singapore being where Singapore is, with all due respect.
Correct. Correct. Well said, Doc.
Thank you very much, Professor, for that.
That is correct. And Doc, I know I'm going to be coming back to you pretty soon, but shared, what are your thoughts, especially when it comes to free education? This is something
I think
that
it's absolutely
the
necessary.
Alliance
Absolutely
has been talking
necessary.
about for a
You
while.
know, lots of people, because of the circumstance, the socioeconomic circumstance we find ourselves in, would have to work and go to UG at the same time. It's not a case you can just, say you have some safety net there and you can just go to UG full time. I'm certainly majority of students work and study, and so you're working to pay for your education, and that's a struggle. That's a struggle if you know where minimum wage is in the public and private sector. That's a struggle, and to have to pay the transportation, pay for your books, pay all the fees and all of that kind of stuff, and then so if we have the wealth, why withhold it from the people? If we care, if we claim we care for the people, right? Why not try to lighten their burdens in this way, as Dr. Ali has articulated there, right? It was always a dream of our forefathers, whether it's Chedi Jagan or Fort Bornum, to have free education. We understand that, and I think Doc articulated it so well that if you think of all those great nations, and
Mm-hmm.
what has made them great, they have invested in education, and I grew up in a family where we were told very early, people can take away so much from you, physical things, but what you can't take that away. And that's why we believe as a family in education, and that is the way to go. And if you're gonna, I think Doc could articulate this better than any one of us. If you're gonna lift people out of poverty into the lower middle class, into the middle class, and give them the tools necessary for them to reach for the stars, then education is the way in which you do it. Education is the way in which you do it. And so, now is a good time as any to fulfill, move those promises from just pre manifesto and summary manifesto and manifesto promises, and make real. Let us make them real for our young people, especially who will inherit this country of ours. And I don't think you can invest in anybody. You can invest in our young people, because I think Doc knows and Ricky knows about the potential of our youth. And if we invest in them and we unleash them on this country, everybody say this country has everything it needs, especially now with the oil and gas well, to become a first world nation. If we set our minds to it, you have a plan and you work the plan.
MP Sherrod, your words brought back memories to me of my school days in Georgetown. We had a long sheet, courtesy rules and maxims. And one of those courtesy rules and maxims was printed in green on white paper. Education is better than silver and gold.
Yeah.
Silver and gold will wash away, but a sound education will never decay. That is Guyana. That's how many of us from the old days brought up. So what happened? What happened? In life we have to learn from experiences, and I've been encouraging some of my business colleagues to support the technical training, half day school and half day work. I have seen this model work in Kentucky, USA. By traveling you learn.
Yeah.
Kentucky, USA, they have full employment. Why? This Not everybody wants to be a PhD and a BBA and an MBA and an EDD. Half days college, technical college or community college, half day on the job, they're full employed. Toyota, I stood up and see they're manufacturing a Corvette by hand, one car per day. I spend my whole day seeing just by hand operation in Corvette. The next day I went to see Toyota, mechanized operation, only 5% human beings and one Japanese person from Japan. If you see robots at work, if you see robots at work, 10,000 Toyotas are coming off their line per day. Where is that skill coming from? Japan? No, Kentucky. Education, education, education. I'm now using that model in North Carolina to have that same starting and go so it can multiply. Guyana can do that. Guyana knows that. It's nothing new. I will call a name. General Pass, retired General Norman McLean know all about it. He can do it. They have the skills, but they need the resources. They need the money. The technical college is there. We should spend triple, quadruple behind the technical college now, not depending on Exxon to squeeze you in here, squeeze you in there. Stop with the bread basket with the begging bowl. That day is over, with all due respect. Assertive, act like you have wealth. You're blessed. You're beyond dreams.
Yeah.
Don't operate as if
Right.
you're hand to mouth. I was told that by Kuwait. I asked my circle for the balance of the one-third debt. And it says, Prof, Ambassador, brother, Sheikh, how can you ask? You're now rich. Are you not using your money wisely? Here is the question he asked. Are you not using your riches? Haven't you learned in your time in Kuwait what we did when we started? I says, I don't have any influence, but I will try to talk as much as I can. So people are watching, they're reading the media, they're reading the web. I'll be honest with you. For my Eid in 3 days, I had 377 MS from the entire. When I left Kuwait, all my contacts were with me in my iPhone. So I maintain relationship. It's now 2 years since I left Kuwait. And I keep in touch. They read the media. They ask, what about this? What about that? They read. They read all kinds of stories. I cannot begin to tell you, but everybody know what you read. Others are reading.
Yeah.
Today I was asked by Australia, why the Islamic Development Bank don't have a substantive minister of finance when you were the first alternate governor and you had a substantive minister. The Islamic Development Bank started in 16. They give you your holler and scream, you got 900 US million, you couldn't spend it, you can't produce feasibility surveys. You had a substantive minister of finance. You were there like chief cook and bottle washers, alternate governor. Why now you have somebody working in president's office and a vice president? Where's your minister of finance? How you managing? If that is what you do, Islamic Development Bank, how you managing all the money? I tell you, I had to say, I had to hang my head in shame.
Yeah.
This is like
Yeah.
today.
It's
Yeah.
Thank
embarrassing.
you.
Had to have
Yeah.
people know they're no fool. It says, and you come into the bank for loan application. If you can't spend what you have, what are you going to do with ours? I says,
Mhm.
brother, I'm not there. I'll keep talking and hopefully somebody will listen. I start to write a few letters. I said, they're reading the letter. I said, I heard. You didn't tell us, but we heard. We said, well, what am I going to tell you? Do what you got. So I don't know whether Ghana leaders, with all due respect, do not realize that this is the information age. People are reading, they're communicating, they're everything. They're
Yeah.
being reading. I
And
am being bombarded with the questions. I am
Mhm.
being bombarded with questions, and it's my Guyanese. I have to, but I have to play. I'm out of power, and it's part of the change of government. One party tearing down another. One person in Kuwait come and says, "You had the best image branding with your recycling program. We go and it's gone. What happened? You gone and Guyana died?" I says, "No. The party change, and the person who was in charge was sent by the late, by one the president, Barra Jagdeo, pick that person from two. You see, I tell the truth. I have no fear but God and Allah and Ram. 2014, Mr. Jagyo himself told me at a luncheon at the Hibiscus, and luncheon is a late dinner, almost midnight, Hibiscus restaurant in New York with two other persons that he personally selected. My name was a candidate to be ambassador for Kuwait. He didn't know I was interested. He told me he selected a person from CIOG, who you know in 14, to go in Kuwait to replace Dr. Ishmael, who had left. So he sent that person. I had a 40 pages final report that went to Minister Greenwich, Minister Todd. I sent a copy to Vice President Jagdeo. President Ali got a copy too of courtesy because they were the officers. So it's there in my system in Kuwait. I have all the documentary evidence because it's on my personal laptop.
Yeah.
So I learned the hard way in my life about having evidence. So it's there. And so I left. The month after I left, the recycling program ended. The ruling families of Kuwait were using it. It was all over Kuwait in the social media. I'm at a hotel in Safa Palace going to meet His Majesty King Salman in the elevator. The Kuwait Minister of Finance talking about keep Kuwait clean and Guyana. You know, so today I was asked, why is Guyana so poor they can't afford to continue? And your wife did it at no charge to anybody. What happened? The next thing they said, all this show and tell you did at the embassy with pictures and all each country that came to you, you give them a page on your website. I looked for my website and it gone. I said, I know. 99% completely wiped clean.
Wow.
The few that were retained that had me in it, I am cut off completely. I said, I will give you my website so you'll have some of the memories. So these are the kinds of things, when change a government, it affects Guyana. And
Yeah.
imagine we want Kuwait, that one more time, your government want Kuwait to come and visit Guyana, and this is how Guyana operating in Kuwait. You see, and part of the Kuwait, the Arab culture, they will listen to you, they will talk with you, they'll shake their head, they'll even sign MOU, but wait for it to be completed. I have known cases in parts of the world where when the contract started, they play the money and they're dissatisfied with lying and they find the people lying, doing shenanigans is my favorite word. It ends. That's it. They walk away. So Guyana, don't feel, with all due respect, all these visits, they're watching with a thumb. I know they have sent their own people incognito into Guyana and find out themselves. Imagine if you had your money, wouldn't you be doing that? Common
Yep.
sense.
Yep.
If you want to invest money, aren't you going to kick the tires, due diligence, and check? Common sense. No, sir. You think they're not doing that? So, with all due respect, I'm praying that some of those promises deliver. But my sources tell me they are double checking, triple checking, quadrupling what it is. And they're hearing from the US State Department and their ambassadors. So they're getting source from the US team on their own. Plus, all these countries have intelligence. We have, they have. So, it's very, very sad. It's my country. I wanted to move, but I hope we can get our act together
Wow.
and use education as a tool and use our money and start having to go a handout. We don't need any more handout now. No more. We should not go for a penny, with all due respect. Not they have finance ministers who can run. I know Dr. Ashton Singh very well and trained properly, but he's following instructions. I wish he would stand up and be assertive. Dubai is going to think twice of him whenever he go back, if this is his record, because his record is going to stand.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've already been asked for the court case. I was asked for the court dismissal. It's there, so it's nothing new. I'm not saying anything that's making up. It's there in the public. I'm just highlighting what others are reading. And I'm personally disappointed. I hope Dr. Ashley Singh will stand up and get a professional appointment as the Minister of Finance, represent, because he has billions coming his way. And the countries are wondering what is Guyana if this is how it operates. They're not stupid people. They're rich,
Thank you.
stinkingly rich. And if you don't have a substantive minister, little Comoros got a minister of finance sit. Guyana is the 56th member Islamic Development Bank. We're the last member they admitted in 16. There's a long list want to join. They're not joining. We're not a Muslim nation. We only have 10, 11, 12%, but we're there. We have a seat at the table. But they're
Yeah.
watching your behavior. They're watching who you send. One person said, "Where's your Minister of Finance? Why is he not there? Why you have somebody?" Who said, "That is the person who's doing the job." He said, "Why don't you give him the title?" He said, "I have I have no influence. I can pass it up when I'm in a preview program. I'll bring it. I hope somebody listen." I says, "Nobody, they do not communicate to me." One asked, "Did you brief them?" They said, "I offered." Nobody took up the offer.
Mm.
When I sent a birthday greeting to Minister Greenwich, he thought I was being briefed. I said, "Nobody reached. Nobody." One day, I'll tell you not to hide, because month of Ramadan just finished. Allah knows. Whilst immediately after the election, one of their members reached out to me for Islamic Development Bank stuff because he was teaching at UG. I know that was a fast one. Come on, I wasn't born yesterday. Come on, come along.
But I want
So I,
to
so I share what I have, but that was the extent of reach out, and that was the end.
I want to just I just want to share that I just followed us in the comment section, and I know that we have joining us in the comment section there. We have Mr. Winston Jordan. He's saying good night. Director Sherrod Ricky and Ambassador Ali. He said, "I led Guyana into the Islamic Bank in 2016 and became Guyana's first governor with Ambassador Ali as alternate governor." So we have
Amen. Amen. That is
Winston
true.
Jordan there just setting pulling it out to you, reminding folks of the work he did. Oftentimes persons come when we're speaking and say, what did you do different? And Dr. Ali, to sit people down to show the things that were done and the strategic way and structure in which things were done. In 2016, there you have it, Winston Jordan led
Yes, yes,
Guyana into the Islamic Bank there, becoming Guyana's first governor with you, Ambassador Ali,
yes, yes.
as
We
the
worked as a
alternate
team.
governor.
Ministers were smart. He appointed me a team, and because of my relationships, Kuwait linked me up to everybody else. And Minister Jordan, that's how we got the 900 million. I thought it was 9 or 90. I said, "How are we going to spend 900?" I asked Minister Jordan. Minister Jordan, we said, "We can't spend it, and they need feasibility studies, and they're very demanding, but we do what we can." I'll tell you another story, so it's evidence. I was an annual meeting, and I was talking with the Minister of Finance from Saudi Arabia, and I was thanking him. Every time I meet those officials, I give them thanks all the time for allowing Guyana to be there, because, and he promptly says, "You get in, but you can get out also." And I said, "That is true." And he says, "The person who is next to me, you do not know, but he is the one who made the recommendation for Guyana to be the 56th member." So I turned and asked him, "So, my brother, I have one question. I learned by asking questions. With all due respect." He said, "Yes, my brother. What is the question?" It says, "We're a small nation with 10 or 12% Muslims. Why did you pick Guyana?" He says, "For me, one Muslim was enough. And you don't have to be a Muslim nation. There's a time we give chance. Suriname is there, they're doing well, and you English speaking next door, I'm sure you can do very, very well." So
Mm.
these are things. Another story, we were at an investment seminar in Turkey, and I was able to get a meeting with the Minister of Finance from Qatar. Minister Jordan had presented his program and the possibilities for. The Minister of Finance told Minister Jordan that you talk about getting help from the Middle East too. He said, "With Qatar help, with our help, you will be more than that and all put together." See, in my style, that's what you call empirical evidence. I have the pictures of those meetings, so I don't like to put on story. What I'm saying is to motivate people so they can understand we have to stop tearing down the past. Governments must continue. We
Yeah.
not be 1 foot forward and 10 foot backward. It's no good. We have to stop. Similarly, I'm sure it's happening in Guyana with other projects. We have to start tearing down and building up. Now that we're rich, 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 we have to continue. A Department of Planning with a long-term planning, piece by piece, modification, yes. But stop this tearing down. It's the
Professor,
taxpayers' money, it's the people monies are being wasted. It's not the government, whoever is the government money. The sovereign wealth fund is the people's wealth. I
that's
want
right.
those who
That's right.
believe they should have cash transfers, the Kuwait model, with all due respect. Others will disagree, but it's their oil. They should share it. Let them spend how they want it.
Mm.
Who make us God? We are vicegerent of God. We are not God. He's up there. Everybody get their piece. If they want to do whatever, not everybody will want education. Let
Professor,
or her feel the value of this wealth that we are
Yeah,
blessed with.
yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
all. That's all I'm saying. It's
Yeah.
good. And I'll say that to any government, coalition, even my teeth. I know Minister Jordan might have a different opinion in the past. He might change with the fluctuation of time and evidence. But with all due respect, this must come. And they're writers both sides. People will debate it more. Even our advisor in Ghana says no, with all due respect. Let him go to Kuwait and see the thousands of millionaires that have been created and the wealth that generated, the employment, the industry, and us, and let him compare Ghana with no cash transfer with Kuwait, with all due respect, with cash transfer, and see the difference. You know, with all due respect, you go yourself, see it.
The data is out there. The
Kuwait,
study has
one
it's
without and one without.
it has
yeah,
already been done. The study has already been done. This is not something. And then oftentimes we speak about the fact that with everything that is new to us is not necessarily new to the world, and there are
right.
best practices out there and things that
Yeah.
models that we can follow, tweak as we go along, tailor to suit our unique needs here in Guyana. But there are things out there, and I think that that brings us back to the conversation that we started on, the fact that free education is one of those very key aspects that we need to get covered before we can even start to look forward to this brighter future on all of those things, you know. And I'm looking at the panel of us, and I'm very proud to be a part of this panel. You know, everyone here, myself, Sherrod, Ricky, all the university graduates, the Professor Ali, we didn't reach to your level as yet. We get to
Barbara.
we're gonna get there. Some we're gonna get there, but we know the difficulties, and when it comes to free education, this is something I'm very passionate about because I can tell you that my degree, my bachelor's, my master's, all of those degrees, you know, you had to work so hard. When I'm writing my CV, I have so many things that I have to put in there because I had to work so hard to get through those, because I wasn't getting a scholarship. I wasn't getting anyone to fund it for me anyway. I had to work hard to pay my way through it all. So, and when you know the difficulties and the fact that we have thousands of Guyanese, hundreds of thousands of Guyanese living in poverty, barely making ends meet at the end of the day. When they have a choice between if they're going to eat or if they're going to put this money towards study, and chances are they have to choose to eat to survive. So when you know these things, you know how far we have to go as a society when it comes to actually providing this equity in opportunities for persons to have an uplifted standard of living, and having free education is right there. Persons being able to access free education makes so much difference. We hear stories about so many people who was born into poverty and all of those things, and it is just by education managed to pull them out,
Yes.
give
Yes.
them a fair chance at life to do better. And then
Yes.
so many persons in our country would be the first ever to go to university, you know, the first ever to get a job that pays them a salary at the end of the month and don't have to be out there struggling like so many others in their family. These things are things that we need to continue to speak on and continue to champion the causes for these things, because let's be fair, I know the Alliance for Change has been talking about free education from the beginning, but I think the PPP utilize the platform because they know it is something that Guyanese are in dire need of, and that everyone is going to be in agreement with it. So they use it on their platform as a campaign promise and all of those things, but they have shown no real interest in going on our road.
But
And I
MP
want
Ricky,
to
Sherrod,
mention
they,
two
MP
things
Sherrod,
before
yeah. The,
Dr. Ali. when it comes to education, two of the things we've been following is gold scholarship, number one, and the fact that we have gold scholarship being offered to Guyanese, and it is not done in an equitable way. The scholarships are online. Persons in the hinterland locations that have absolutely no proper access to internet service and so forth can't access these services. And also the fact that a lot of universities are not as accredited even as the University of Guyana. So
Yes.
when you speak about the fact that University of Guyana still needs more funding, and the money that has been allocated to university is not even is not even tipping the iceberg of issues that they need to cover with the resources, it is crazy for me to understand the amount of money that is being pushed into the gold scholarship that does not have the accreditation, a lot of
Yeah,
those
yeah.
programs, as the
Yep.
University of Guyana.
And
And the second
Julian,
one,
you have to.
like, I'm gonna let
Accreditation.
you guys win just now.
Accreditation is
Yes,
key. I tried to
yes.
get Kuwait University into UG. They didn't want to bring their accreditation down. That is important. We have to. Very, very important. You know, His Excellency Dr. Bharat Jagdeo, he's my friend. I know him too from a different mother, a different way. Dr. Ishmael, the first ambassador to Washington and Venezuela and on to Kuwait, I heard was the one who recommended him for a scholarship to go and do his degree in Moscow for his master's degree. He was the Minister of Finance, and then he got an honorary doctorate from His Excellency President Putin. So he knows all about education transferring lives. Even I think he worked with Minister Jordan. So it's what we are saying is nothing new. Ashley had a scholarship. He went to London. You know, all the team around them have benefit from education. So what we're saying is nothing new. But it's like I am different and you're different. I get mine and I
That's the
forget
point.
yours.
That is what they.
Why?
That's the
Why?
point.
But I think people see, the persons see empowerment, provide an equitable opportunity to access education is providing an avenue for empowerment of individuals. And because of that, we have persons like the administration that is ruling right now that does not want to empower people, because the more persons know and understand, they're going to move away from this whole aspect of supporting an administration because of the way in which they look, or because of generations supporting the administration, and they're going to start looking to a policy based system if those persons have that level of education. And because of that, they are not going to willingly just empower persons to access education equitably. And one of the second thing I wanted to make note of is the fact that we were talking about during the course of the week, the fact that there's this big announcement about having a media academy, and instead of putting that under the University of Guyana structure as it should be done, it seems to be put under a new structure separate and apart from the academic structure of the University of Guyana. And I know the Guyana Press Association is not pleased about that. And we have to think about the way in which we're looking at education altogether. Because if we're not empowering the already existing structure and fixing to facilitate betterment in the future, I don't understand where we intend to go as a country altogether, especially when it comes to providing free university education. Because all of those institutions, all of those bodies, if that academy was actually put under the structure University of Guyana, then when we actually achieve that aspect of free university education, that will be covered there also. But we have a lot of work to do when it concerns these things. Your thoughts, sir?
My thoughts, perfect, on target. You're on the site, you're making the visits. Is now for our words to reach the Berbicians and Guyanese so they can speak up. They have to add their voice for their children and their children's children. Speak now or forever hold your peace, with all
Mhm.
due respect. We are four of us here and we have a multiply four more, but they have to speak. All the parties, all the political parties, all Guyanese, everybody, forgetting the party. This is one nation, one people, one destiny. That's our motto. Our motto is there. That's forever. That was there since 66 and it's still good now. more carve out here, a piece here. It doesn't work. All the carvings, with all due respect, you're losing the big cake, the big pie. Do it, just do it. Start with education. Okay, you don't want to do the cash transfer. Do the education. Make an executive order. You can make executive order for all manner of stuffs. Make that an order. It's a drop in the bucket. Just hold one project up and put it in. Call the parliament in and make it done. It can be done within a week if there's the will. I will do it if I was there, with all due respect. That in Linden will never happen on my watch if I was there. I'm sorry, it would not. You cannot do that. It's man's inhumanity, man. How can I go to sleep and know that my
Yep.
administration do that?
Yep.
All the clothes and the charity and the garb and the $720 sandals I wear. What will God say?
Yeah.
What do you say to Allah? Come on, be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody need to stand up, but is the citizens have to start talking up with respect and say their piece. Tell them, Chief, we need education. We got to give more people. Forget all these projects.
Hmm. Yep, absolutely correct. And thank you so much for those comments, Professor Shamir Ali, and Sherrod and Ricky. Believe it or not, our time goes by so quickly, and our time
Yeah.
is. So I want to give Ricky and then Sherrod the opportunity for some final remarks.
Look, thank you very much for that, Professor. I mean, it's amazing to know that the free education is so important because we had that on our manifesto, and I want the people in Barbados to listen. We had it, and they heard it, but they didn't understand the concept. They didn't understand what we were designing and what we wanted to, how we were to get that approach. We had a cash transfer to also Professor. I was part and parcel of develop that white paper
See,
for cable to cabinet. And I know, and Kuwait was one of the country that I take an example from.
there it is.
So the first class country, we had to you see how it works, and with the best country it works. So my fellow Barbician and those who are listening across Guyana and in diaspora, that when we return to government, these things we can make possible. We will make it possible. It was in our manifesto, and we will do it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so
And
much, Ricky. MP Duncan, your final thoughts, sir.
but then I'm going to say, we need to have Doc and Ricky on more, Professor Ali on more, with us. Such a vast knowledge on these varied issues, and definitely I think the free education is the way to go. But like Doc, our colleagues at the university tell us, while free education is good on the one hand, adequate funding of the university,
It's
right? In the
important.
absence
Yeah,
of those funds that the students pay is
yeah,
absolutely necessary. Because even with what students pay and what government subsidizes university, it's far below. I hear Dr. Ali quoting about $6-7 billion will take care of the university. So adequate funding, free
yeah,
education, yes, but on the backside of that is adequate funding for the university, because you can have free education that is subpar, that is far below what is acceptable. The standard is falling and all of that. It's free education, right? But adequate funding so that we get the best education in the world at the University of Ghana. And that's what I want to say. And happy Mother's Day to all the mothers.
Amen. Happy Mother's Day.
Yes. Happy Mother's
Almighty
Day.
Father, Bhagwan, Allah, Jah, and Yah, give us hope, faith, and courage to overcome darkness, despair, and evils. You
And,
are our Lord and Master today, tomorrow, and forever.
and the corrupt PVP.
Be Ricky.
I was going to say three other words behind it, but I will leave it so.
Temper enthusiasm, dear train. With respect, let who is without doubt cast the first stone as to, that's don't cast aspersion. Just
Ricky can
encourage
start
them to change.
throwing stones now. Ricky can start throwing stones now. What's
Come,
this?
you go to Babish, those Babishans, you'll be in a barrel and you'll be rolled out.
No, they know what I'm talking about. Don't worry, they know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah,
They've seen
That
it.
But there is hope. There is hope, but we have to speak up. We have to speak,
Yeah.
talk to them, let them know with conscience. It all over. Look what is happening right now in Ukraine. The people have speaking out. They're standing up, mobilizing. We can do it. Yes, we can. Yes, we will. We should and we must collectively, cooperatively.
yes,
All right.
correct. And so I just want to say, being the lady of the hour, I'm gonna have the final word. I'm gonna say, Thank you all for being here with us this afternoon. I'm Sherrod, Ricky, Professor Ali. Thank you so much for the discussion. I know that we had a very in-depth discussion, and I know. Thank you, Mr. Winston Jordan, for joining the program. Also, you know yourself and Mr. Ali. We value the contributions that you guys have made to the country, and like I said, when the program just started, those contributions, we are still reaping the benefits of some of those works even today for the things that remain in check. But for the others that have been watered down and structures that have been broken down and totally, we are reaping the consequences of those as a country. Also, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Continue to make sure that you share the information, share the stream so that other persons can benefit from the discussion altogether. And I see all the happy Mother's Day comments that are in the comment section. But Professor, I am gonna tell you that I know you're not looking at your comments, but the comments have been very much in praise of what you're saying. Well said, Professor. Thanks to the words of wisdom and all of those. So it has been a pleasure to be with you all this evening, and I'm encouraging you to make sure that you always set aside 8 to 9 p.m. every Saturday night to make sure you join Alliance on the Move. Thank you so much, and have a great night, everyone.
Okay. Got that. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye. Bye
Bye-bye.
bye. Bye bye. Bye
Right.
bye.